presentation. The in-depth presentation that we give at the Long Beach Expo is about 3 to 4 times as long, so we have quite a bit more to discuss. So we'll begin by taking a look at designations or qualifiers after coins. That'll be things like, full red or full bands. We'll look at grading proof coins, grading the ultra high grade moderns, that's the MS 67, 8, 9, and 70 coins, and again, like we said, unusual and difficult coins. We'll start with designations. So what are they? They're a rating that we add after the numerical grade to describe an attribute of a series that has importance and value to collectors. Now, for example, if something really doesn't matter that much to collectors, we won't describe it. But there are certain areas of certain coins that people seem to focus on and have a great deal of interest in. These fall into 3 main categories: color, strike, and surface reflectivity or contrast. We'll take a little closer look. Color, on mint state improved copper coins, that'd be half cents, large cents, small cents, or 2-cent pieces, and patterns, of course, one of 3 color ratings is assigned. Either red, which we abbreviate RD, red and brown, RB, or brown, BN. Obviously, color is an unbroken continuum, just like grading. So the 3 designations represent ranges of the remaining original red color, okay? So let's take a look at what a red copper coin would look like, okay? This is a coin that's going to have 95% or more of its original mint red color. And we're illustrating here an 1851 large cent, which somehow was able to survive with almost all of its original red color intact. You see a little bit here in this section that's starting to turn brown, and over time, eventually, this whole coin will be brown at some point. But so far, it's led a pretty lucky life. Now, again, up to 5% brown is permissible on a full red coin. So you sort of see around 95% red on this one. Now, red and brown takes up a very large segment. That will take you anywhere from 5% to 95% of the original red color. So it's a huge portion of the coins that are going to be rated RB, or red and brown. Now, we're going to show 3 examples of a red and brown large cent. One at the high end, in other words, containing mostly red, one around the middle, about half and half, and one at the low end, containing virtually no red, but still more than the 5%. This one here that we're showing is at the high end of the RB scale. I would say anywhere between 75 and 90% of the full red is still visible on this coin. But you see, there's just too much brown. There's more than 5% brown on this coin, so that would take it out of the full red category, okay? Here's another red-brown coin, and this is, sort of in that large middle area, I would say between 25 and 75% brown. The coin here looks probably close to half and half. So, there's red, usually clings around the stars or in the recessed areas, and in the larger open areas of the coin, such as the cheek or the fields, any large area, you're going to be getting some of that brown color come in. And finally, here is the low end of the red and brown scale. These I would call virtually brown, and these coins are showing between 5 and 25% of the original mint red. And once again, it's usually right around the devices. You'll see the red around the date, around the stars, of course. On the inside of the lettering, you'll see a little bit of the red. But virtually the whole field's now, and the main device, virtually all of that is turned brown. Okay. And finally, but it's still not a bad-looking coin. You'll see here, it's an uncirculated coin. It just has none of the original red left. So that is how we evaluate copper coins. And in the actual class, we show examples of 3 or 4 types of large cents. Indian cents, Lincoln cents, and 2-cent pieces are all shown. So this was just one example of one coin to give you a preview. The next qualifier concerns what we call strike, or areas of certain portions of the design, okay? And the 2 most well-known of these, of course, are full band Mercury dimes and full head standing Liberty quarters. Now what happens is, as these coins are struck, the die slowly wears, and portions of these designs sort of flatten out and never come into the coin, even when it's new. Also, weak striking pressure, planchet irregularities, the same things that normally cause weak strikes on coins will cause certain areas of the coin not to be fully struck. We currently recognize 4 strike designations in 5 different series. We recognize full steps on a Jefferson nickel, abbreviated FS, and that would be on the building Monticello on the reverse of the coin. We recognize full bands on Mercury dimes, and recently we've begun to signify full bands on a Roosevelt dime. Full head on standing Liberty quarters, both Type 1 and Type 2. As some of you may know, the Type 1 quarters had a very different head than the Type 2 quarters. We will illustrate in this preview, we'll take a look at the Type 2 quarters. But we do cover both in the full course. And finally, full bell lines on Franklin halves. Of course, that will be found on the reverse of the coin. And there's some horizontal